Good morning, Nachum. Good Erev Shabbos, everybody. Whoa. What a privilege to bring to you a Dvar Torah from Yerushalayim, Ira Kodesh. I am in the neighborhood of Baka, and it's a privilege to be here. Each time I'm in Eretz Yisrael, I tell you, you can feel Erev Shabbos. So that's another one of those things to put on your list, that when you come on Aliyah, of course you're keeping Shabbos, wherever you're listening to me. But here you can sense and feel Erev Shabbos, not just the prachim that spring up on main thoroughfare corners all over, reminding us that it's Shabbos for everybody. But the tone is one of getting ready for Shabbos Kodesh. This is Parshas Vayechi. Vayechi is the last parsha in Sefer Bereshis. While there are no mitzvos of the Taryag, there is a very important mitzvah that I'd like to talk about this morning, which is a very important one, namely the mitzvah of Kavura, that a Jew is to be buried in the ground, as we find, interestingly, the two parshios in the book of Bereshis, which talk about the death of tzaddikim, be it Chayei Sarah, the death of the tzaddikas Sarah, and the death of Yaakov in Parshas Vayechi. The name of the parsha is one of life, because the Jew believes that death is a transition as part of life. And that's a very important concept for us to be very comfortable with. The idea being that the Torah teaches us in chapter 2 of Bereshis, God formed man. Vayipach bi'apav nishmas chayim. And he blew into his nose a living soul. Vayi adam lenefesh chaya. Man became a living being, and the Targum says a speaking being. We have intelligence. Now, very important for us to understand, the same way that life came in through the nose, it was life leaving through the nose, which is why there's a universal custom. Think about this. When I cough, you're going to say to me, cover your mouth. When I sneeze, you're going to say to me, God bless you, Gesundheit, in any language. Why? Because it was that life came in through the nose, life left through the nose. People were very nervous. People died with a sneeze. What happened? It changed in this week's parsha. The Torah tells us at the beginning of this week's parsha, the beginning of chapter 48, listen carefully. After the strong plea that Yaakov does to Yosef, asking him that he not be buried in Eretz Mitzrayim, but rather he be buried in Eretz Yisrael, in Chevron, in Ma'oras HaMachpelah. Right after that, the Torah tells us that Vayomer li Yosef, it was told to Yosef, Hinei avicha choleh, behold, your father is sick. Now, what does that mean, behold, your father is sick? So we don't simply mean, behold, that this is the latest news, but the word behold in the Torah, hine, is something which is really a complete and total surprise. So, for example, the Torah tells us that with all the giving of signs between Yaakov and Rachel, we know the righteousness of Rachel, who gives over these simanim to Leah, And therefore, Vahiva Boker, when Yaakov wakes up in the morning, Vihine Hileah. Whoa, this is in chapter 29, Pasuk 25, in Bereshis. Behold, what a surprise. Unbelievable. You thought you married Rachel. And he wakes up, and who is it? It's Leah. We have later on, we had 2 weeks ago, in Bereshis, when it's time for Tamar to give birth, Vayehi be'es lidata, at the time of her giving birth, V'nei se'omim bivitna. There were twins. This was a surprise. What does that mean? That they didn't have sonograms, and they weren't aware that this would be twins. Hine, a complete and total surprise. Similarly, when it comes over here, Hine ovicha choleh, behold, your father is sick. So unbelievable. The Gemara in Bava Metzia says, Tanya, Ad Yaakov lohavi chosha, until Yaakov there was not the phenomena of sickness in the world. Also Yaakov comes uba'e rachme, and he asked Hashem for mercy. He asked Hashem to please change nature. In what way? V'havi chosha, that there should be a weakness, a sickness, that people should have a warning. Okay, now watch. What does that mean, that people should have a warning? The purpose of this warning, Rashi says in the Gemara, Bava Metzia, Pei Zayin, Amud Aleph, is that Sheychaleh Adam Lifnei Moso, that man should have some warning, ideally. Doesn't always happen, but that oftentimes man should have a warning before he or she passes. V'yitzaveh lebeso, so he'll be able to literally get his home in order. And specifically, among getting his home in order, making sure that there is halavai, shalom, to the best of their ability. That don't wait for the last moment. But here, for sure, as Yaakov Avinu tells Yosef what he wants done after he passes on, he wants to be buried specifically in Eretz Yisrael. So the first thing that comes to mind is Kvuras Yisrael. A Jew needs to be buried in a Jewish cemetery. We don't say, what's the difference? As long as you're buried here or there. No, it makes a difference. Avraham Avinu expends a great effort and an exorbitant amount of money to purchase Ma'oras HaMachpelah, that there should be this concept of a Jewish cemetery. That's number one. Number two, we strongly believe in the idea that there is, quote, life after death. What does that mean? There are 13 principles of faith, as enumerated by the Rambam. The 12th principle of faith is Ani Ma'amin Be'emunah Shlema, I believe with perfect faith that there is Mashiach in this world. Okay, good, that a Mashiach will come. But the 13th and last is that there will be Tchias HaMesim, that the dead will come to life. Now I have to tell you, everybody, that when we recite the Haftorah on Shabbos, among the brachos that we say afterwards is V'davar echad midvarecha achar lo yashuv reikam. Every word of Tanakh has and will come true. Take a look. We've come back to Eretz Yisrael. There's more than 7 million Jews living today in Eretz Yisrael. No one could have seen this. No one could obviously visualize yet what it's going to be like, but there will be, and I promise you, and it's not Yudin that's saying this, it's the Nevi'im that said, Hokitzu v'rananu, literally wake up and sing. Shochnei Ofar, says the Navi, those who are lying in the ground. We say every day in our Shmona Esrei, Umukayem emunaso, Lishenei Ofar, God keeps his promise to those who are lying literally in the earth, in the dust. Unbelievable. So, how important is Kavura? So, I can only tell you that Ramchal, in his Sefer, tells us that the body decomposes in the grave, and once this decomposition takes place, the body becomes purified in order to be reunited with the neshama. Whoa. This, says the Ramchal, is authentic Jewish belief. And now we know and understand that there is a process that's going on, literally, in the grave. And the first thing is, let your children know what your wishes are, be it Kavura in Eretz Yisrael, as the Pasuk says, V'chiper admoso amo, or wherever the family is that you wish to be buried. That's number one. Number two, it's so important that we know and we communicate this to others, and that is that we are absolutely forbidden to cremate a Jewish body. Now, again, I'm talking to everybody because many of us know persons who are not yet Orthodox, not yet traditional. And unfortunately, today, the consumer has options. It might be cheaper, and for whatever the reason, the idea is, remember, it's not our body. It's on loan to us from Hashem. Ki ofar ata vil ofar toshuv. You are come from dust and you go back to dust. But that's not the end. Remember, this is a process, purifying and bringing back together that neshama that you have now. As we say every morning in the bracha, Elokai neshama shelasat to be, God, the soul that you have given me, Tohorei, it is pure. You created it, you blew it within me. God, I know you're going to take it from me, but you're going to give it back to me. This is something that we say every day and we believe in. This is Parshas Vayechi. Yaakov Avinu Lomeis. Yaakov didn't die. What do you mean he didn't die? The Torah says they buried him. The Torah says that there's such a long mourning for Yaakov. How could you say he didn't die? The answer, my friends, is Af Mazaro B'chayim. As long as Yaakov's children, descendants are alive, so too Yaakov is B'chayim. Yaakov is alive. The importance of Chevra Kadisha, the importance of a Jewish burial, the importance of Kever Yisrael is our connection to Jewish history and our connection with Jewish destiny. We end Vayechi on a positive note. Am Yisrael Chai, not just now, but just as the Zohar teaches that Kutchabrichu, God, Oraisa, his Torah, and Yisrael are Chadhu, and God is past, present, future, so too is our Torah, eternal, past, present, future. So too is our people, past, present, future. And this has to give each and every one of us a tremendous feeling of chazak, chazak, v'nis chazek. Wishing everybody Shabbat shalom to all.